Hey everybody, so we're continuing our Knightquest, the Crusade. I think this is part 7 now, even though I'm going out of order, even though there is no order. So I decided to jump over to Shadow of the Bat, even though I'm kind of itching to do the Joker story. And so this is a 2-part story called The Tallyman, which was in Shadow of the Bat, which no longer, unfortunately, is in existence, but I always loved this title. I always thought it was cool when it first came out. So this is only issue 19, since this is a relatively newer Bat book. It was a little more expensive than the other Bat books at $1.75, and it even says part 1 of 2, and it's got some pretty awesome, I believe it's Brian Setzfries is how you say it, and there's his signature covers on it, one of good old Asbats, and then one of Asbats confronting the title or the character, the villain who gives the name of the story, the Tallyman. And here I remember Shadow of the Bat was a big book for Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle, but here I think this is a guest of Garano. He might have taken over at this point. I'm not really sure. It doesn't say guest artist, but it only says artist, so I think he did his own pencils and his own inks. And I always liked Shadow of the Bat. It always had this like sort of title page, which was kind of cool. And story starts out, we're in Gotham City here at a New Age supplies store, and someone's being robbed. And the art, I like this art a lot, although sometimes it gets kind of exaggerated a bit, like that body there is kind of weird looking. But the way the artist Garano does the bat cape, the Asbat suit is really cool. So anyway, Jean-Paul Valley, good old Asbats here, hears the crime being committed and swoops in at the New Age factory to help out. And there's a couple cool scenes of him fighting. There's some pretty cool internal dialogue where he compares himself to Bruce Wayne and wonders if Bruce Wayne felt the same feelings he felt, or what's the difference between him and Bruce Wayne. And I really like when they do just the shadow of the new Batman. That's pretty cool. And this artist does pretty good motion. I like that, how you really feel like Batman's just like sort of landed on the guy. And then they get in a little bit of a hostage situation. There's another cool shadow image. And Batman kind of says, hey, look, you don't want to kill this guy because you're looking at 5 years for assault. You kill him, you're going life in jail. And little thing right here, we'll come back later, find your true self in an ISO tank, now in stock. And so anyway, Batman then says, I knew that guy wouldn't kill him, shoots a couple batarangs into his hand pretty violently, and takes him down. And he's pretty brutal with him, so much so that the poor victim yells like, I'm done, I'm finished, stop hitting me, stop hitting me. And you see Vince Garano uses like really thin lines a lot of time, and it looks really good. It's a really good effect on Batman, and I love this swooping through the air. And as Batman is kind of wondering about who he is and what has the system done to him and what has his father done to him, he sees again, find yourself, or find your true self in an ISO tank, and he thinks, worked for Homer Simpson, worked for Lisa Simpson, let me try it. So then we cut to this gangster, Big Mike, who I don't recall him, and I don't know if he was ever in anything before, and I'm pretty sure he's not in anything after, because they're celebrating how great he is, and it's kind of a cheesy pun about how he thinks little, since he's Big Mike, but he's kind of small. And then here when they go to open the cake, he's looking for, I hope she's a good looker, and it turns out to be this villain, the Tallyman, which I don't really know him. I know Alan Grant was famous for just creating new villains during his run because he was not very familiar with the Batman villain, so it was easier to just create a new one every time. And I think he might be new. And I don't know if he's just exaggerated in his drawing, because if you look at his body, it's really exaggerated. So I don't know if it's supposed to be exaggerated drawing, or if he's some kind of metahuman that can like elongate and change his body. I'm not really sure. I think it's more just exaggerated drawing, to be honest with you. But anyway, he ends up killing Big Mike. So that's the end of Big Mike. He's gone, but not forgotten. Or maybe he is forgotten. And so anyway, but he also, the Tallyman says, look, he's got to get Big Mike's brother, and he's got to get Batman. And so here comes Jean-Paul Valley. He's kind of stretching, getting ready to go in the ISO tank right out of the Simpsons. And then you see him getting ready to go in the ISO tank. And then we see the Tallyman on his way to Big Mike's brothers. And then we get some really cool, I like the art for the hallucinations or the visions inside the ISO tank. I think the exaggeration works really well. It's a cool image of Bane breaking Bruce Wayne's back. and Jean-Paul kind of imagery of him getting the system and what it might have looked like. And I don't know how his dad had this big apparatus over his bed and he never knew it. Maybe it puts him in some kind of hypnotic trance, and talks about the system and the rules. And then we go back to the Tallyman, who ends up at Big Mike's brother's house, which I don't remember Big Mike's brother's name. And actually, when I first saw this, I thought that was Poison Ivy. And then when I read, it's just Big Mike's sister-in-law. But anyway, he says, no, he's not here right now. He actually went to a warehouse, and it just happened to be Gotham New Age Supplies, the same warehouse where Jean-Paul's having his hallucinations. And there's some really great work here. And they did a lot of background about the Jean-Paul and the system and what's been going on. So I guess they thought maybe some of the, let's go here, Shadow of the Bat readers were reading Shadow of the Bat but not following the events in the other books, so they wanted to fill it in for everybody. And so then here we go. Here's the gangsters. They show up at Gotham New Age Supplies, and just so happens they see Batman. And he must be in an ISO, whatever it is, ISO chamber, or trying to find his true self. So let's shoot it up. So here's some more hallucinations. Jean-Paul realizes there's way more to the system than he had thought, and that his father had planted things within things in the system. And wonders, will he ever find out his true self? And so then they shoot the heck out of this ISO chamber, only to find it empty, because Jean-Paul was in the one next to it. Oh, man, you picked the wrong one. And then, what happens? Tallyman hears the shots, leads him to the secret entrance, comes in, and there he finds the gangsters. Johnny Mahoon, I guess that's Big Mike's brother, and goodbye. He gets rid of them. He says, tell your brother that in hell, that's pretty rough. And so then now we've got some cool posing here of Asbats just hanging out, posing, wondering what life is all about. And then here comes the Tallyman, and that leads us right into the next issue, which we'll do in the next video. One of the things I thought that was kind of interesting in the letter column, which is just called Shadow of the Bat. I don't know if they ever got a cool name for their title. In the next issue, it says, next issue, Paul is injured and Tallyman does not care. And I'm like, who's Paul? And then I think they mean Jean-Paul Valley. So I don't know if it was just so new that they thought his name was Paul, or it was supposed to say Jean-Paul, or it's kind of a glare. Let me see if we get that. It's kind of weird. And then they just get, with the puns. He says, all he wants is revenge on Bruce Wayne. It's Tally Me Banana in Shadow of the Bat 20, an installment of Knightquest the Crusade. So just rough. And I wonder what would happen if I cut this out and mailed this in for a subscription to Guy Gardner Warrior, or what's another weird one? Oh, Legion 93. That was a good one. Scarlet. I don't even remember that one. Outsiders was good. So does it have an expiration date? Offer expires November 30th, 1993. So yeah, I guess I'm out of luck. I wonder if they'd send it back. But anyway, 0 Hours coming. I love 0 Hour. I can't wait to do that on the podcast. So while I go take a break and watch Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes, that was Batman, Shadow of the Bat, Tallyman, number 19, part whatever of Crusade, Knightquest the Crusade. And I will see you guys next time. And until then, everybody loves the Drake.